Okay, so this is going to be a two-part wrap-up of our season finale for Prophecy of Shadows. Emotions are very high right now.
Oh god, okay, so this is after part 2.
And we'll be doing another half after part 3.
So don't watch this unless you've watched part 1 and 2.
Correct.
Also, I need you to know, now that you've had, if you haven't watched it, you got
Spoilers.
Oh, massive spoilers, yeah.
Spoilers,
massive
Okay, are you gone? Are you gone? Okay, you're gone.
Did you leave? Okay.
I need you to know that the tears that came out of me were real tears.
Wow, jeez.
I was very sad. I genuinely thought that we got duped and that he was like, oh no, this is great. He won. And then it didn't happen.
We just lost our beloved Gum.
Yeah, so this was the first half of the first half of a two-part standalone series ending to Prophecy of Shadows. It's going to be titled, you've probably already seen it, but it's Straw Return to the King. Yeah.
That's inspired.
I know.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
That was all David.
And so
That's David's name all over that.
What we did here was we wanted, because we've been going from Domain of Dread to Domain of Dread, right? And Strahd's and Barovia is Domain of Dread, right?
And the most famous Domain of
So
Dread.
we wanted to kind of
I was
do
gonna be
the
surprised if
conclusion
we
arc
didn't
here.
go.
Yeah. So then this was you met Strahd right away, and you're going
in
in.
a very great fashion, by the way.
And you name
What do you
dropped
mean?
our characters from a different campaign.
Oh,
It's just like a
yeah.
little Easter egg for us, but
It's
I
an
thought
Easter
it
egg
was
for
very
us. Anyways,
Killing the turtle
there's a
princess.
princess turtle that we play in our group, just like a gals group. That
I didn't know who the other characters were at the time.
No, that's
I
really
kinda-
fine. That's
yeah,
really,
great.
it's just a one that we do kind of
Just
really
appreciated
casually.
it. Thank you,
it was
dear.
really thing, so.
So as they made their way, they met Strahd. I think I played Strahd kind of, I don't know.
I thought it was a really interesting portrayal because
Just a little pathetic.
The
it's a
whole
little pathetic, like very like dark
Yeah,
king,
it's
like,
good.
you
It's
know,
fun.
like
It's-
sad boy.
Pathetic, I think, is actually the word. But yeah, because if everyone thinks of, I'm the vampire lord, I'm dark and brooding and evil, I want to give it a little bit more twist.
I just felt really
great.
sad boy
It's
who
lovely.
writes sad
Okay.
poetry. And
Yeah.
I was like dead raven.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't expecting that.
King
I
of
really
Darkness.
Oh, really? Okay.
Really
yeah.
enjoyed
It's
it.
like
I did too, actually.
It's the same kind of feel that I get from when I watch the Harley Quinn animated series, where all of the characters are like familiar, but completely different from any version I've ever
Right.
seen of them. Because like I'm not super familiar with Strahd, but I've obviously heard a lot about Strahd because it's like one of the like staple.
The staple D&D fifth.
It really is.
Arguably.
And the Van Richten's guide that we played through this whole campaign has Strahd on the cover, and we're like, well, what a way to capstone the whole
I thought that was really
adventure.
lovely.
Which we were planning all along.
Not really. I brought it up to you.
No. But we were
planning
planning
on Rogue,
to
yeah.
have Strahd in this all along, but we weren't planning to have David play
No, I
Strahd.
called Kyle and I said, hear me out. And I played Strahd. I was trying to think of a way I could get incorporated into it.
Call him and I was like, yes, and I'll raise you one. What if the beginning of the episode is Strahd getting yeeted out of his own castle, this Dark Lord?
Yeah.
Like,
Right, 'cause
the
he's-
most mythical, powerful Dark Lord is, like, to also scare the shit out of the characters with what they're going to be facing. That the Demogorgon and the twins, like, just like, bloop!
And then he gets up and
out.
goes, "You caught me at a bad time."
My goddamn cape wouldn't.
I thought that was really poetic.
Yeah.
You're like, fucking.
So yeah, I definitely played him a little unique.
I loved it.
that was
I
really
loved it.
lovely.
It was so much fun.
And so you went down to the catacombs, had the feast.
Anyways, clearly Van Richten and Strahd
I
are just
we
in
didn't plan that at
love.
all.
That's-
I was hoping it would work out that way, though.
Anyways,
Actually.
they hate each other so much that it borderlines on lust.
I believe that.
They're just like
That's kinda
choking
funny.
each other, like really
they,
kinky,
they
like.
really want to hate fuck the
Fuck the shit out of each other.
Oh,
That's going
the
on
whole thing we
here.
were saying the whole time was give Strahd the rod or something.
Give Strahd the rod. Give Strahd the rod.
Yeah, so.
Oh god.
But anyway.
But before that though, when we saw Gwyn, she basically flat out said, as long as unless there is death, we will never return to our plane.
And we figured like that was the there had to be a kind of redemption of Joey. Joey did a pretty bad thing. Gum did a bad thing.
Yeah,
right?
Gum did
even inadvertently, right? But still, I think there was a kind of a price to pay, and this was the ultimate price to pay. But with that, you saved your kingdom retroactively, and then you also made it so that your friends could save
Like
everything.
Yeah.
It's I mean like I'm not
Save the world,
I'm not
basically.
equivocating to it, but like it's one of those scenarios like Black Widow was in. It was like for the Infinity Stones. It's like they went to.
Spoiler alert.
I'm sorry.
If you haven't watched that, sorry.
Like I'm genuinely sorry, but
Sorry.
like it's been out for a long time. It's silly, bro. But like okay, but Black Widow, like they had to make the sacrifice to end up getting that, and it's like when we were talking about this character from the beginning, like every time I was like thinking like what could be like a good way to like wrap up this story when I learned that it was gonna be like a one-time session season, if you will.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I just didn't like. Not saying that he doesn't deserve it, but it's just as far as like character stories go in general. Like there's always, not always, but like that character that Gum was, you can find in so many different aspects of like different stories and everything. And I just thought that was a good way for him to like
Gandalf
kinda,
the Great.
like
Oh,
that,
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
There's
It's like,
ultimate
there's real
redemption.
stakes. I mean, I think character
Yeah.
deaths are not something to be taken lightly.
I mean,
Well,
it's
I
the
also
first.
think too, like it really just from my point of view, that I really of his arc, that he really had this, he sent his people to like 100 years in the domains of dread, and he was, I mean, inadvertently working with Hirschham, was terrible to his family, really, to his sister. Just didn't care about his people at all, and then spent all this time like living kind of in the woods by himself with no reason to live. That I really feel like
Literally took a clean memory wipe to like,
to reset him enough to I think but also because in the part one he got the forgiveness from Gwen. I think it made it okay for him to make that choice to jump through the door.
For sure. I
Because
mean,
he got
you
that
also,
from
like,
his sister.
To jump back even further than that, like when we were hearing about your story for the first time, it was really interesting to hear about how like, you were like a spoiled like aristocrat for all of your life, and then when you got your life reset, like you had nothing and you met that little girl and she kind of like made you realize that there was like a reason to care about other people, and you didn't have everything handed to you. She had to actually like show you how to like learn to be, So like it really did take that hard reset to
So do you think
bring
that,
things back.
that was, you paid the price then? Like you paid, like was that arc, right? You ended up, for what you did, you think you paid back in full? Like what do you think about your arc? Like
if I'm speaking personally, like there's probably not no matter how good you do, the damage was done. It's a very tough line to walk. It's a very tough line to walk. Ultimately, like if we're looking at like super objective wise, like Gum's probably big super objective was for all of New Arbandor to come up, shake his hand, and say it's okay. Like it's okay that you did this, but obviously he won't get that, and so that.
Oh, wait, can I stop you mid-thought then? So what he said when he was reanimated, that I don't need to be remembered in the history books, was that to please Willa and Kor, or did he actually mean that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I kind of twisted my stories a little bit.
No. I'm just curious if how much of his final death's speech was him trying to like give her peace, or how much was giving himself peace?
to me it seemed real. To me what you just
really
said, Gunn, was more like
Yeah.
what you just said. I think was like ultimately if there was no consequences and you could just kind of save the world, and then you
Go home.
Yeah, go home and it'd be fine.
Sure, everybody wants that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think what you ended up saying was the truth and was like the right thing to end up. I think you paid the piper, but you had to.
I think Gum knows exactly what character I'm going to reference right now. I'm not going to say from what show because I don't want to spoil anything, but there is a moment in a show that we love very much where one of the characters sacrifices themselves for the greater good, essentially. And one of the other characters asks, like, why would this character do that? And they say, they didn't do it for all of us that are standing in this room. They did it for all of the people that will never know their name.
Yeah.
And then, if what you told me was in the episode, I think 18 or whatever, where you knew that the only way for the curse for New Arbandor to actually come back to normal was for eventually you have to die, so the curse from Hirschham would be completely would go away, right?
So is the Titan also the manifestation of the curse?
Yeah, that was what we were going with.
Interesting.
We wanted to give a Titan flavor because you're a big Attack on Titan fan.
Yeah.
But we also wanted to
We
have...
both are.
Yeah, but we wanted to have...
Yeah, there are a
we
lot
all
of
are.
Attack on
We all
Titan
are.
fans at this table.
If it weren't for copyright things, I was really telling Kyle, you have to play that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted to.
We wanted to, but I was just like... Anyways.
Well, what we wanted to do was play the rumbling
Yeah.
from the 4th season, which
But,
is...
but I wanted to give you that flavor, but also have it be sort of a manifestation of like what you did, and have it be like Hirschham like clobbering in and
what a
destroying
great way to
everybody's
do it
lives.
too. Like I'm so thankful it gave me the Attack on Titan reference, but I'm also like, you're right. It really is a great embodiment. Like, it's such a cataclysmic, like event that is just has made it grown into its own thing. And
Oh,
like,
interesting,
having
yeah.
to like
And
face
the way
up.
it
It's
like threw the
manifest- it's
satyrs
manifested.
at you.
It was
Yeah, I
almost
mean, like he
it was
literally
like
pulled out
your
the
people
citizens of
almost.
New Arbandor
Yeah,
to
right,
throw him
right.
at me. Like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was the embodiment of everyone I fucked over.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Truly.
Yeah, that's actually
Like,
really interesting.
And you defeated it.
But you
kinda
also
saved
that
the
was
city.
your first.
did I really defeat it?
We did it. We saved the
Yeah.
city.
Yes.
But I really think too it was your first action really as like the Prince of New Arvindor. Like
That-
it's the first
yeah.
time,
Last, yeah.
first and last moment of you actually being the
Yeah.
royalty that you were born to
That's
be.
so good job, DM.
Yeah,
That's
very
Good job,
great.
good.
everybody.
No, that's great.
Round
That's
of
great
Round
storytelling.
of applause.
Very good, very good.
Yeah. So you want eventually, then when we ended Chronicles, we talked about all the characters in turn. Should we save that for the end?
I think
We
we're
just
going to
talk
save
about
that for the
Gum
end. I think
case?
this is kind of...
Is there anything that Gum you would like to say?
yeah,
kind
is
of-
there any
Oh
closing
yeah,
thoughts?
yeah. Any closing
Closing
thoughts?
thoughts.
Yeah,
I had a lot of
closing
fun
thoughts.
with everybody here.
Woo! All right,
Yes.
Joey.
Oh, that's
I-
a royalty to Strahd right there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Copyright the high five.
I've only done D&D a few times. I'm very scared of improv, but having a fixed improv session and a great DM and people, this gentleman next to me who literally answered every question I had. If you go back and watch, you'll probably see everyone. You'll literally see like, okay, I'm gonna do this and that, this that. I'm like, okay, so I can do that. I can't do that. I can't do that because I already did that. Okay. Okay.
This is yeah.
So wait, what does this mean again?
I think also as a twins we riffed very well too.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
I
Uncle
think the toughest part was like creating those relationships in that fixed improv. But then once you found, like, I mean, literally a small of a thing as like coffee with the twins was like something that we were able to play off of for so long. So
Yeah.
so that was a lot of fun. But no, I had a lot of fun. Last time I played D&D, I think I played a character that was very challenging, that wasn't a big, I shouldn't say big fan of, but like very challenging for myself. But this was a great character to play with, and Kyle helped me out, and David as well, like helped me create this character. And I mean, all those twists and turns I think we discussed on the first day we got together.
Yeah, it was the same.
for the most part. Like
Yeah, a good chunk of 'em.
At least Gum and Core were always gonna have like that. Our plan was to have them have that connection of like me being an elf and turning into a satyr. That it changed a little bit like story wise over time.
Yeah, we had
it's
a
like
little bit of
the blueprint was there
the
and
meat
pretty
of it was
consistent.
definitely there.
The meat was definitely there, and I had a lot of fun with it. So.
And I think it also played a lot to, this was like a dark fantasy campaign, and I think all these twists and turns and hidden identities and stuff, I think that was very dark fantasy.
Yeah.
It's also very Shakespeare.
Yeah, it was very Shakespearean,
with the
sure.
skull. Yeah, but
I just love the relationship of like that. I think it was really interesting to watch because you don't see a lot of like sister and brother-in-law relationship is a really
it's really-
interesting.
was them two basically?
Yeah, them
Yeah.
two. Yeah, that's
yeah.
that I think a really like extended family
Uh,
that you loved him
In spite
as a
of, or despite of.
no, but like apart from you loving Gwyn.
Right.
That he was your brother too, in the ways of being fellow citizens, but also just like of your like love for him.
Right, like
as
we would
a
have known
brother.
each other our whole lives, pretty much.
Right. So I
But-
also think it was a really interesting
Yeah.
thing to see you interact with him without Gwyn. It's not like I only know him because he's my, Gwyn's
Yeah.
Exactly.
brother.
Yeah, like a lot of
But it
times
was
when
really
you see
interesting.
in-law relationships on like in media, it's
Yeah,
always kind of
right,
just
right,
That
like
is very
yeah,
interesting.
the relationship of like, oh yeah, my in-laws, like I know them because I'm married to my wife or my husband or my partner or
Right,
whatever.
right.
And your relationship existed the whole campaign without Gwen pretty much
Right.
entirely. So I
Yeah.
think that,
I just thought it was really
Yeah, that's really.
Joe, you're the bomb. We've had a
You're the
blast.
bomb. You're the bomb. You the bomb. You the bomb. You the bomb.
We're
You're
gonna
the bomb.
wrap up for now, and there will be a second half to this video that will start now. But yeah,
Talking
okay.
about, I think the whole campaign of
whole-
Prophecy of
yes.
Shadows from start to finish. We'll go over some of the key moments, some of the characters' arcs, and you've heard
Yeah.
Gums, and I think it'll just be the remainder of the Warriors of Light.
Oh
at,
God!
part
And then
two.
there were 3.
And then there were 3. Holy
Jesus.
cow.
Hi.
Forgetting Strahd, who is now part of our party.
I don't know about that. I don't know if we give him Warrior of Light
Strahd's our new
status.
adventuring buddy.
Yay, we'll see. We'll see about that. We'll see about that.
Okay, we'll see you in.
Welcome to the second half now of the Prophecy of Shadows finale review thingamabob we're doing. You probably just saw us talk with Gum. And we're going to continue now and do a whole survey of Prophecy of Shadows from beginning to ending. It just ended. Oh my gosh! I was watching from the sidelines as dead Strahd. No, like actually dead Strahd. And I gotta say, when Willa having her anime protagonist ending, wow,
So good.
And then that love, that whatever, blossom between you two,
thought I
and then
lost
Core.
it.
I was starstruck when you were doing the whole the Queen's speech. I was like, that's amazing.
For which part?
No, the Queen's speech right at the very end when you were telling
Oh, yeah.
Alvy. Oh my god, I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. Anyway, so as you may or may not know, Kyle and I.
Spoilers.
Oh yes, thank you.
Spoilers.
Well, this isn't the
Even
end
more
of the
massive.
other.
Yeah, but still, no, I'm
yeah,
with you.
the other part.
Spoilers.
So I'll let you all talk, but just real quick, I want to say, Kyle and I obviously co-DM'd most of it, right? And thank you
Yes,
very
we
much.
did.
But this ending part, they I think took it in a different direction, and that was fantastic.
Oh yeah, we were off book.
Yeah.
Off. I mean,
Well,
any sort
yeah.
of remote
So
concept.
I want to
of where
ask,
we're
was
going.
that something that you would? I assume you chatted a little bit about the possibility with.
I had
the,
no idea what was going to happen from the time. So basically, I'm going to be
you
honest. What
serious?
happened? What happened
You guys
is
didn't
there
talk
was a
about it at all?
moment.
No,
There was
I
a
didn't talk about it at
moment.
all.
There. So here's the deal.
so you just went with it. That's great.
There was a moment where I sort of realized that I wanted to do another sort of thing that I had forgotten to do in the battle.
I was wondering.
And
if
that
this-
was with the whole eclipse thing, and I sort of had intended that to be sort of happening the whole battle, and I just kind of forgot about it, and I was like, well, let's kind of just increase the stakes again, kind of add another
Phase
layer.
2 of the boss fight.
Yeah, and then you just took it and ran with it, and I was just like, okay, let's do it.
That's amazing. You guys didn't chat about it?
No, not at
I
all.
love it.
Not
I
a
love
bit.
It was
What
beautiful.
I had told Kyle from the beginning about Willa, and had kind of briefly told Alvy and Core about, was that from the beginning, Willa was not an adventurer. She was the character who had been thrust in the position of the chosen one, but didn't want it and didn't choose it. So she did it out of necessity to save initially her mom and to repair the relationship with her father. But Willow would have never wanted to leave the Feywilds. If this had not happened to her, she would have been content to stay in Purple Springs. Because her parents lived such vibrant, heroic lives, she didn't want that. She didn't have it in her truly to she had kindness to be kind to people, but she didn't have the epicness to do that on her own. If she had not been thrust into this, I'd never intended her to be she would have never been a hero, because that's just not who she was in her soul.
Yeah, I think if the stakes hadn't been specifically
So I.
tied to so high and specifically tied to your story and your family,
Yes.
I think you would have if you had outside of these circumstances, I think you would have been like, fuck this.
Well, and what...
Do you mean like a
What
Feywild
we're-
adventure, like something more simple, like close
Yeah.
to
I mean,
Yeah,
I think that,
she
like-
would have never been like a John and Amalia traversing the entire Faerun to help all of humanity. She would have never done that. Because what you saw at the beginning of Willa's journey was her struggle with alcoholism. And her struggle with addiction. And that was a big part of who she was. And that's what I was trying, as she, was fighting the actual physicalization of Shar. That's also her, her own darkness. And I think that my idea, and I didn't say this to Kyle, was the idea of, her sacrificing herself was to, restart. And her going off with her parents were the only people who could take care of her.
Yeah.
Because she was really struggling, mentally and with her drinking problem. And so she spent this time healing and spending the time in the temple where her mother grew up. So that was also part of the journey that I wasn't going to vocalize to you all, but that was what I saw for her, because she wasn't...
No, I love that.
She wasn't doing well. She was not... She struggled with addiction, and that was a big part of her journey. And that's why I needed when I had pulled Kyle aside, when you saw him go off stage, was that I was like, I needed 10 years to pass for her to be a more well-adjusted, almost 30-year-old woman who has her life more on track.
And props to Kyle. Oh, no, continue, please.
Oh, no, I was just saying, and the moment of her throwing herself in between the darkness and the light, in my brain, I knew she was going to lose her wings, too. That was something that I had thought was going to happen, whether she would lose them in battle or whatever. But that's a big part of, she couldn't fly away from her problems anymore, of that manifestation of it. So
It's really beautiful.
So she
beautiful.
still has, when you would see her, what you saw of her would still be the horns and the scales and kind of the tail, but her wings don't retract anymore. They stay, basically, they're just the bone shape of it against her back. So that's what I wanted her journey to be, and her growing up. And she, in my brain, I didn't want to tell you this, but I really wanted Willa, she had to leave Alvi behind to heal, because Alvi would always protect her and take care of her, that she wasn't going to heal if she always had a friend to lift her back up. Because Willa had never stood on her own feet. She had very famous and heroic parents, and she had an amazing best friend who would have supported her through life and death. But Willa would have never done that if she hadn't physically removed herself from Alvi and from... Because in her brain, in my brain, she only traveled with her parents shortly to heal in the northern towns to Icewind Dale, very briefly, and then she spent the majority of the time in the temple, probably the last 8 years in the temple, working with the kids and healing herself in the temple where her mother grew up. And then decided to 10 years had passed since this day, and then she decided to come back. And I think she will be more well-adjusted and enough to live a full life now. At 28. So anyways, that was the whole arc that I'd wanted for Willow, but I didn't want to tell you all.
This is amazing. So props to, I want to say props to Kyle.
Yes, thank you for just going with
the flow
it,
and really
because-
being we DM is listening, receptive, and then going with whatever was happening at the time. Especially at the end when you were narrating them getting back, Core then meeting Alvi and the whole situation, and talking about the funeral, but it was actually the celebration of life, and narrating a few of those steps. I think I assume you didn't have any of that pre-planned, right?
No, none of it.
Okay, that was fantastic. Brilliant narration.
I had half a page of notes for this episode.
And then I want to say
y'all started leaving, and I was like, "Do I need to?" I thought I was gonna leave when you said I got back to Purple Springs.
Oh my God, that was.
I'm glad we didn't, because we had a really good moment there at the end
Wow,
of
that
talking
was
about that
beautiful.
stuff.
I mean, it was natural and organic, and it seems like, and I want to say I was also watching, from your perspective, it seemed like maybe in some far distant world it could have been planned, but it absolutely wasn't, and that made it just more beautiful. Tell me about your relationship. Go.
I mean, the bestest friends that could ever live. They met as very young girls when they were in the library, and I know we talked about in some episode about how they met in the library of Purple Springs, and there was an attack and by this fake creature, and that's how Alvy got her wild magic powers, and they basically just bonded over plays and books and Feywild girl figurines.
I want
Ergum Flurgum.
I want the tea though.
What do you mean the tea?
Is there anything deeper?
Romantically?
Or whatever.
I had never thought that for Willow.
I don't think we planned that.
No, that was not.
Just a lot of love.
No, they're just. I had not. If that's what came up, sure, but that's never.
I love that interpretation.
I love that interpretation. I love that.
That's what we did with, and that's what we did with Death
Sovereign.
That's exactly what I got.
Yeah.
I got some, but only because I lived through that. I got some echoes of that.
Sure.
If you read it that way,
if you read it
then
that way,
yes.
sure. We
But,
have not
yeah.
planned anything, and I don't know who's to say now that Willa is back. I don't know.
Yeah,
What was your
they've
perception?
had time to grow apart.
I think I just saw it as a really, really tight friendship. I don't know. I just always saw them as really, really close. More like a sisterly relationship than a romantic one at any point.
Sorry, I'm exhausted.
It is
I
very
had so
late.
much caffeine. My leg, and I think Julia saw
Yeah,
it too. My
we're
legs were literally shaking
shaking.
and it
Oh my
was the past
gosh.
half hour, 45
I know, but
minutes.
I think everyone was so emotionally
Yeah, I'm
full.
emotionally
I think you almost,
full, but
I was gonna say,
exhausted.
You almost
But
cried. I
to
almost
answer your
cried.
question, we had never discussed that. Really, the whole
Yeah.
time we've been playing, they were just best friends, BFFs for life.
Yeah.
But that's a lovely interpretation. If that's what happens, then I don't know.
Write the fanfic.
I don't
What
know.
now? Are they together now?
I wanted it to be vague enough when I got up at the table that you two were forced to continue life without Willa.
I mean, I fully thought we were just going to end after the two of us were let's rebuild New Arvindor together, and then that's that.
Yeah.
I was ready.
But
for the
but I
epic.
wanted there to be that. I wanted to come back, but if I had really
It was magnificent.
Yeah.
No, there's no need to
I love
second
it.
guess
Yeah.
any of it.
But I
That's
wanted
beautiful.
that whatever you two have the time to do your thing separately.
S tier D&D. Okay.
So yes.
All right, we talked about Willa. Alvy, give us your character arc. Alvy started as a librarian barbarian.
Yeah,
Librarian,
Okay.
barbarian.
And how do you feel what happened
Librarian, Barfarian.
across the adventure? You always got really strong. You met your dad. You figured out you were a satyr.
Yeah, we packed a lot in there, huh? Yeah, she was just I had created her as a super sheltered. My original thought for our friendship was very much the Sean and Gus dynamic, where you're the wild card and I was the stressed out friend who's going behind you cleaning stuff up, which was fun. And then, yeah, I think I think we discussed this a little bit ago, where Alvy has romanticized all of these stories and this library that she was basically raised in, and has gone out as an adventurer, and it was all pretty terrible and traumatizing. And I hadn't even considered I actually didn't know what I was gonna do with her. I hadn't considered what you brought up.
It's
So I
great
thought
it
that was
worked out.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
It makes a lot of sense that she'd be nearby.
Excuse me.
Yeah. That's what I got. Sorry, I'm still
No, you're processing.
Processing.
vibrating, literally.
No, I
so
that's
think that was
amazing.
a great because you had talked about Alfie wanting to see the world, but I think that
at one
too.
point, yeah.
But doing that too of who's to say she didn't go traveling as she was taking care of the people and I think she'd always been a very selfless character. That I think that arc to me makes a lot of sense. That she would stay because she missed her parents and so. That to me makes a lot of sense because I think she was the most selfless out of the whole group and most consistently. And I think the smartest character we had. No, I really do. I think I think Alvy was the smartest in terms of being a good leader and in a democracy, if that's what was instated. I think that Alvy would have been the best choice.
I couldn't even convert Strahd. What the heck?
Well, see, but the
Well,
thing is,
Trey,
no, but
the reason Core wanted to bring this up to you is because, Gwyn was a good leader, but, she had her time. She was in charge for a while. And mainly it was, I had to be a co-leader because I was her second in command, both by the fact that I was her wife, her queen, and the fact that I was in charge of her royal guard. And throughout the 100 years of difficulty that I went through, a lot of the like inner rage that was inside of me just started to manifest itself in ways that were very dangerous. I saw for trying to be a leader. And I made so many reckless decisions during our journey, even though I was like the oldest of the group, you know, not literally because you're technically the oldest.
We don't know.
Well, we don't really know. That's true.
And you're never gonna know, audience.
But like, in terms of like the most mature of the group, Cor was pictured as that a lot because she kind of had to be, but she also made a lot of really, really terrible decisions because she let her anger get in front of her. Like I almost got crushed to death because I got too mad about something. Like because I got mad at the mad scientist lady. Like I almost got killed. Like I've almost died multiple times, and I think she realized during this journey that like this is not her place anymore, and it was not possible for her and Gwyn to have the family that they had argued about wanting to have but not feeling comfortable having if they were in charge. And yeah, I don't know, sorry to like steal it away from you. I didn't
No, not at all.
I think that makes total sense. I
Yeah.
think especially I think it would have been hard for what we know of Gwyn to want to rule after what her brother went through and then losing him.
Gum, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
About losing Gum, but I think it would have been hard for the two of you to stay in power, like having been there when Gum sacrificed what he did.
You deserved retirement.
Yeah, I just think that given what happened in order to bring back this civilization, that makes
Well,
total sense
we were
to
also
me.
part of the old kingdom. If we
Yeah.
want to rebuild the kingdom, there's no point in keeping the old guard in
Right.
charge, you know?
Yeah.
And that was a big thing that I was thinking of, because, like, we've actually been talking about this, like, me bringing this up to Alvy for a while now. I think we first talked about it, was it?
You
I
had
don't
mentioned
know.
it to
Yeah,
me.
sometime-
It was a
ago.
couple weeks,
Yeah.
like,
Secret.
actually, no, it was the two of us. We
yeah,
talked
the two
about
of us
it first.
had talked about it. Yeah, but you
like
no,
about
no,
a month
you
ago.
didn't- Yeah, because you was a secret from you, but we had definitely talked about
Yeah,
it.
and like, so one of the things that was a really big reason for wanting to make that decision was the fact that, like, so rewind way back. Mainly, I had talked to you, and I think you, about wanting to sacrifice Cor to save Willa. That was something that I had been talking about with them since, I don't know, maybe like episode 5 or 6. Like, I had really wanted to do that. I felt like it was a really, like, fun way to do things. But, like, the more and more we talked about it, the more and more we thought about it. And I think we discussed this at one point, and we did as well on a separate occasion. Because Cor is one of the only, like, outwardly queer characters in our party, we were like, oh, hey, maybe we shouldn't have her die in a blaze of glory and leave her poor widow sad and alone, like so many media properties do when they have a queer character. And so we had really talked about, like, giving her a good ending and making things happy and making things good. And, you know, I had been thinking about it for a while and finally came up with, like, in between, like, I think I had come up with just even over the past couple days, like, the whole Waterdeep thing, because I felt like it would just be really nice for the two of them to go and not even live in Faerun anymore, just to, like, leave.
In the Feywilds.
Or, excuse me, live in the Feywilds, live in Faerun.
Yeah.
Because, like I mentioned in the episode, like, the anonymity of going there and nobody fucking knows who we are.
Yeah, because it's a totally different plane.
Exactly.
Like, that's a good point. Literally, no one would know because it's a different plane.
Yeah, and
That's
plus
great.
we don't look the same as we used to, even if they would have known us. Like, even if we ran into some Eladrin, it's like, you know, in my head, as soon as we left, Gwyn cut her hair really short and was like, I'm done with all of the regality. And, like, she always wears, like, a vest and, like, some nice slacks now. And, you know, just, like, they got to live their lives, which they never really got to do before this.
Right.
Because they were both involved in the formalities of being royalty or tangential to royalty. So it was just, that was kind of something that I really wanted to give her in that opportunity. Plus, maybe I kind of wanted to leave it open to, if we ever do a spin-off in the future, then little baby Gum can come back.
I think I think the way that Gum sacrificed himself and the way I think we gave him the swan song and the ending, I think was a very well, really good way to wrap up his story. And the way, and you brought in that your daughter's name was Gum. That was flawless.
Yeah. Short for Gamara.
And I want to say, the three of you ladies leading the charge on stage here with like your passion and your role playing was it was a marvel to be on.
It was wonderful.
Yeah,
and I love that you.
Even just was you two or you three or you. I mean, it was so fabulous. Okay,
I'm sorry. I have one more thing before you go in. I want to show the note that Willa wrote to John.
Yeah, I've been dying to
What?
Yeah, I wanted to know.
Dear John, crossed out father. I'm so sorry. I'll be home soon. Please keep mom safe. Love, Willa.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Okay, so now that we're on John and Amalia thing, this Force Ghost thing that happened at the end.
Force Ghost.
I was trying to do a Force Ghost, is what I was trying.
It's fine. Is that what are you implying there? I guess I would need to know some of the.
So what?
Is this something you discussed? Maybe how?
So
they
what
went
I
at the end?
no. We discussed nothing. So I had been just thinking. I mean, I didn't know about the whole like portal thing, and I was like, oh, that's good. My thought was like I was gonna go back to Purple Springs and then do the goodbye that I was gonna do. But then I was like, oh, if I have this portal that Kyle's kind of been like is in your chest, and I was like, I was like, I can do this. And what I wanted was if like Amalia and John Force Ghost showed up, I wanted there to be a moment that either the audience or you two would think, oh, Willa's dead. Like she will die. We will not see her again. Like a la Bilbo and Frodo going off on the last ship at the end of, that was I was like, this is vague enough that they have to like build their lives. And John and Amalia are alive.
Oh, so that was just them like
that was
projecting?
Just, yes, that was them because they're leveled XXX whatever. And they're just astral projecting because Amalia can communicate directly with Akkadi. My idea was that it was the wind and blah 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 of the basically the force.
Sure, it doesn't.
The astral plane of their projection, bringing their daughter back to safety.
Yeah, it's not Star Trek. When Star Trek, we have to explain that the photon.
Right, I don't need to do that.
Extremely scientific sound statement.
It was just
Force
I just
Ghosts.
wanted the image of her parents back together, which is what she had been searching for this whole campaign.
Yeah.
She knew her mother was alive when everybody doubted her. Like she got her mom safe. She like made and that was also making amends with her father because they had fought so much. And then she needed their help to heal because she wasn't okay. And so she needed her parents to take care of her.
Okay, so I can take it from there, I guess.
Yes.
I just didn't know if you was implying they were astral ghosts or something.
No.
Have to do
Literally
that?
just like I'm saying Force Ghosts as if
Yeah.
they're projection.
Perfect,
No. They're
perfect.
still alive.
Yeah.
That's canon. Anyways, they have
But they can travel back to Faerun apparently, so we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. So
they what?
nothing. I said
Anyways.
nothing.
But yes, basically she spent 2 years with her parents healing in Icewind Dale. And then spent
With Dristan Santos, obviously.
sure, yes,
Yeah.
and then
of
spent
course.
8 years at the All Saints.
Monastery.
What is it called? Where does she? The All Saints.
Oh, the All Saints.
the All Saints Temple
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
okay.
Red Lark.
Awesome. Okay,
That
two more
Amalia
things.
grew up in. So.
Two more things we got to cover. We went through all three of you, Gum, and then the twins. So, thoughts on the conclusion there or the arc?
As much as I wanted them to come back,
It didn't make sense.
It didn't feel right.
It did not feel right
It
to
would
me.
have felt too Deus Ex Machina
Yeah.
or something like.
Because then I thought, well, A, you two weren't even in the costumes.
Yeah, no.
And B, I was like, then what do the twins do? Where do they go? Like, what?
We had options for them.
Yeah.
I was curious if there was a way to bring them back.
Oh yeah,
Oh
no,
my
there
gosh,
was
yeah,
100% a
absolutely,
way
you
to
could
bring
have.
them back, and the ending just dramatically shifted, and I still could have made it happen. I just
No, I don't think it was necessary.
personally, I didn't want them to come back,
I
but I
didn't
didn't
really-
ever want
yeah.
you to feel like there wasn't a choice.
No, I thought there was a choice too until I realized, I guess, what I was thinking of the gravity of the choice of what Willa had done. I was like, I don't think it makes sense. If we were really
Yeah.
trying to rid the world of darkness, then we kill Strahd, and the twins just don't exist. Like that, we can't bring them back.
So the twins, do you know the whole thing with what the twins are?
Devati, right?
Yes, they're that. But so the idea was that they were actually, the reason they did it was because, and have we talked about this at all with them?
I don't know if we even need to go into it because I don't think it matters.
In the end, it doesn't matter. Okay.
Curious.
I don't.
I'm curious though.
Okay, if you want, then one of the main ideas, and maybe if we had gone the route of saving the twins somehow, and we don't even know what that would have been. Maybe you could use the rod to be like, "We save you," or some other nonsense.
Sure. Yeah.
Is that they were actually the nephews of Shar, not the nephews of Van Richten.
So just like you were an avatar of Salune.
Yeah. So,
were
exactly.
avatars
So they were
of
my So then they did it because they had to do it for the family, right, or whatever.
Right.
You know, we didn't go that deep into it, but something along those lines, where it was kind of like.
It didn't feel like a very fitting ending, so we didn't give it like a whole lot of time. But we would have
it
made
makes
it. We
total
would have made
sense
it
to me
work.
that Willow would have killed them.
Yeah,
That's perfectly fine. Yeah.
I mean, if
Yeah.
it would have come down to that, it was like that's what it had to come down to. Then, if that's the case,
If that's
it was
the
like
case-
the
Yeah.
two have to fight, just like Shar and
Exactly.
Seluni were fighting up in the sky.
But I
it's
had
like
to fight the
Yeah,
twins.
they
that's
had
right.
to fight.
And the way you
Yeah.
did, I think, was kind of dramatic and a heart-tugging kind of way, and a tear-tugging, whatever. The way you kind of finished off the Demogorgon and the twins, I don't know. To me, it felt very. I think it was the right move.
I think so.
Very-
I think so too.
it's
Now that you're
emotional.
telling me that they were the avatar of Shar, then it makes sense that we would just as they fought, like you were saying. I think it makes total sense.
Yeah, it was fine. And I think that one of the things going on that thing too was that maybe them having one of the ideas we discussed was that maybe if you wanted to go the redemption route, maybe them having spent the time with you all with Van Richten has kind of made them think like, okay, maybe Shar's way isn't the only way, right? So maybe they could have been like, but really, in the end, they
That felt
were
kinda-
It was. It
That never
cheesy.
sat right
It was
with
really
me, but we
cheesy.
didn't. But I would have made it work.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It just never really sat right with me.
Yeah, it was pretty cheesy,
So
but
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree. I think
Yeah.
that, like, you know,
There's a possibility.
the typical Hollywood ending would have given us
Yeah.
the twins coming back and, like, you know, we have a bumpy road ahead, but we're gonna fix our relationships.
Sure.
Like,
and that they just like did an act of like ultimate pure evil, and I don't. And I also think that goes to some of the things Gum was saying, like, or
Right.
that Joey was saying about Gum, like that, like the choice was made to
Yeah.
like betray literally the multiverse.
yeah.
Right.
You can't really come back from that.
I agree.
Like whether they were forced or what, like whatever it was.
True.
Like, they-
I mean, what
you
about
know.
what about in
I don't think we were really sure though what the nature of their relationship to Shar and the Demogorgon were.
Yeah, neither were we really, so we could have been
Yeah.
even. One thing though, just because you do an evil act, I mean, Sovereignty ended up redeeming Zerial, even though she did an evil act as well. So it kind of depends. It's all kind of perspective, I guess.
Yeah, and I
That's
think,
just me
like,
as a
Yeah,
player
of
though.
course.
That's like I'm trying to be best friends with Strahd. Like I think I just
Oh,
want
okay,
all of
fair
the players
enough.
to be cool,
Fair
but
enough.
that's
Okay,
just not
okay.
how it works.
well, and
I do
with
think,
the amount
too,
of
in terms of-
forgiveness
oh, sorry,
that
no, you go.
sorry,
No, you go. You go.
just with the amount of forgiveness that has happened in this campaign, and how like forgiveness has been a huge like theme of this whole campaign. I feel like we probably would have forgiven them if it would have been something that was like, you know, we lied to you about being Shar's, like, part of Shar or whatever, but being with you and seeing the power of light
Yeah.
caused us to second guess this, and, you know, it's the reason why we didn't kill you or something like that.
And ultimately, they never did anything bad. Like they started to, gather power. or
Until
whatever.
they transformed, they did really nothing.
Yeah, and
bad.
the transformation was
I
actually
think
just Shar.
I think
it wasn't
though,
even the twins. It was just Shar.
ultimately, though, I think
You made the right
I
choice.
think
ultimately.
Willow would have just killed them to keep like Alvy and Cor safe.
That's fair.
She
You never
would,
know.
She would have
You never know.
always chosen Cor and Alvy over these twins.
Yeah.
And in that moment, she knew she was starting to like lose her strength. That she was like, if I don't kill them now, I will worry about Cor and Alvy, and I won't be strong enough at another point in my life to defeat them. So it has to be now or never.
Yeah.
So I not to be like I think it's right. I think it was the right choice.
No,
had-
we're all in agreement
Yeah,
that it was the right
100%
choice.
agree.
I just
Yeah.
want you to know that there were options.
And it was more dramatic and emotional. I think it
Yeah,
was much
it-
more impactful for the
Yeah,
story.
narratively, it was also the right choice.
like the higher stakes. I mean, we had a character death. We had
Yes.
them
We
die.
had
like I
three
think it
character
had.
Yeah, oh my
deaths,
gosh.
technically.
I also
It
think it
had
was really
a lot
interesting
of-
that it was just like the
Oh,
three
was
ladies at the
character
end,
deaths.
and it was just
4, including Strahd, if you think about it. As far
Yeah,
as like
because
players,
he
the
was
players
part
on
of
the
our
table.
party for a short time.
Yeah.
No, but
So-
at the very end, it was the three ladies.
Yeah.
which was lovely.
And I think all the deaths and all that stuff, I think, show a lot of the. This was a dark fantasy campaign.
Yeah, and that was
Right.
the goal.
Great. Yeah,
I think
it was fantastic.
Like
Yeah.
the goal was for it to be dark. I mean, it was a lot of trauma.
And the fact
Well-
that you didn't, the twins that weren't saved at the end, I think speaks to the genre.
yes.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think, whether I would have like I think if you hadn't reached for the, I think if Strahd hadn't reached for the
Rod.
The rod.
rod, I would have let Strahd live. But I think because you immediately went for the rod, I wasn't going to take any chance. Whether it was just to get your castle back or not, I'll never know. You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Because it doesn't matter. But
Rod would have used a Strahd. Strahd would have used the rod to, and I vaguely talked about this. Rod would have used a Strahd. Sorry, Strahd would have used the rod for completely selfish reasons.
right, and that's
See, and it's funny because like my brain again went to like, oh, I didn't see that as I'm gonna do something evil, but that's because you were such a such a fun character. And so like when you said you were gonna stab him with the bolt, I was like, ah.
That's what I was thinking too. It's not that I didn't mind it to die. It doesn't matter.
No, because ultimately, although what we know is like, right, David, how you played Strahd, but what we know on paper about
Oh no!
who Strahd
Afterwards,
is
I
and,
totally
like,
get it. It was just in the moment. I was
also
like,
wasn't
why don't
entirely
you
sure,
why
but
don't
I
you
was like,
stab the
whatever, she's
shadow
got
in your
it.
chest with the bolt? Like I wasn't sure if that would work or not.
That was a very good move.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought at the time I was thinking when you talked about all the stuff and you're like, oh, you're just a murderer or whatever, and he is. He does it for love, but also his love is very twisted and tainted.
Yes.
So in the end,
Yeah, a lot of people do some really.
What I know from
fucked up
Strahd
things
too,
for
of
love,
just that
so-
Curse of Strahd, the book itself, of like how he has just ravaged the people of Barovia and just
Yeah, he's a
he's a
fascist.
He's an evil
I mean,
villain.
like
bad dude.
He's
So
a
regardless
bad
how
guy.
you played him,
Yeah.
Tyrant.
I loved it, but. Me knowing the lore that I know and what Willa heard from the twins about Strahd, she wasn't going to take any chances.
But also,
when you reached
but
for the
also,
rod.
like part of what
Yeah.
Strahd is so like goddamn charming.
Well, he's
Like
like,
so that's
he's
so
a
like
va-
it was
I was
a
saying he's a
really
vampire.
interesting angle.
It also
It was
could
a
have been a
really
ruse the
good
whole
So it's my
time.
friendship.
I would say like I would say it.
That's a good point.
It 100% was. I mean,
That's
I talked
a
to David and
great
I was like,
point.
I love what you're doing. I need there to be a flip at the end,
which I was going to do anyway.
which he was gonna do anyway. So like, yeah, it was absolutely a front
That's the
to
thing.
get
He's
what
also
he
a
wanted.
vampire.
yeah, he has
so
like a 26, 28 charisma or whatever. So it's like
Yeah.
So he knows that what works for us is very charming, fun energy, or whatever.
He can literally read your minds to know
that's what I did.
exactly how to play you.
I
He
just
literally
played like
read
a-
all of your minds.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like
double
literally just
betrayal,
like-
double cross.
Just like the twins were like
Last
super
week,
cute and
expected
charming. Strahd was like, I'm a sad boy, and we're like, ah. So
yeah,
I can
but-
fix him.
Go,
I
David.
can fix him.
So,
very good.
do you want to talk at all about
Yes.
where it would have gone if we would have done a season 2?
Oh shit, that's great. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Nah, keep it a
wait, and
secret.
it was about, okay, so I don't know if I do because I might be recycling some of those thoughts and themes for Delphquad.
Oh really? Oh yeah, that's true.
Understandable.
Okay,
I was just curious. I wanted to
okay,
see if you wanted to share something.
I mean,
but
I can if you really want me to.
I would keep it a.
No, keep it a secret. Keep
would
it a
keep it a
secret.
secret.
Maybe someday down the
Are we
line
gonna-
we'll give you a video
I might
of
find
what
a
would
way-
have
We
happened.
can't. At how things ended, we can't. There's no.
No. I mean, I might recycle the idea of the theme for Delphquad, and so I don't want to spoil it
Fair enough.
if any version of it plays out
Yeah,
in
that's
that.
fair.
Yeah, someday down the line, you viewers, you lucky viewers,
I'll do a video.
we'll
Someday
do
I
a
will
video about
absolutely
like
do the
what
video.
would have happened.
So there was going to
maybe.
be a Prophecy season 2, but unfortunately with like logistics things like that, it's not going to work out. So Kyle's going to be running Delphquad, which will be a different genre altogether. More like-
Also, you're missing the biggest point that Delphquad is going to be completely homebrewed.
Yes.
So
from scratch. So
Totally
that's going to
from
be
scratch.
that's going to be awesome. Other thoughts? Prophecy of Shadows. I think we hit the genre on the nose. I think that there was a lot of like you said, trauma. So there were some
Shared
ups
trauma,
and
team
downs
drama.
in like, as far as like trauma. But overall, I think it's fantastic.
I had a great time.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with Willa's arc just as a player because I really she grew the way I wanted her to grow because there was a point in the middle that I was like not super thrilled at playing like a cleric again, just like game wise. So making her a fighter really worked for me, and it was the arc I wanted for her. I wanted her to have that coming of age arc. I wanted her to get better, and I wanted her to be at peace in whatever that meant for her.
And that's the goal, to
Yeah.
make your players happy because we're playing a game at the end of the day, and we
Yeah.
want everyone here to have fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means not making them happy
What I
Yeah.
in terms of how we betrayed them.
Easter.
But like, we don't want to subvert their ideas of fun. So, thank you so much.
A big
for
shout out to
joining
Kyle
us.
for DMing.
Go,
Yes!
Kyle.
And David for DMing. Yay,
Yeah, I
David.
DM'd one episode.
That's
No,
true,
you
did.
but you helped me plan all of
collaborate.
it.
Yeah, basically.
So-
Yeah.
Co-DMing can work. It absolutely can.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna miss this
Yeah.
this campaign.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to the next one coming
really
at
happy
you
with
in
that.
August.
Delvecore probably August.
September?
Delvecore should be August.
Yeah,
And
okay,
Chronicles will be September.
Well, my friends, we're gonna sign off for tonight. It's pretty
Yeah.
late, but we love you all. Please,
Dungeons and Dragons!
Thank you, Green Knights.
subscribe,
Mwah.
leave a comment, and,
And
smite that like button.
button.
We'll see you next
Try
time.
that like button.